Hi, I'm Belinda from Mundo Maya, and you are standing in my home warehouse. And today I'm going to talk you through some of the handcrafts that we have here and show you how they are made by the artisans of Guatemala. Guatemala is very famous for its looming and weaving techniques. So what you're looking at here is called a huipil, and this is the traditional top of the Mayan woman, still worn in Guatemala, and a lot of work has gone into making this beautiful piece, which in Australia people will use to adorn their houses. So in terms of making this, there has been looming for the underneath part of the cloth. So if you look up close, you will see that this cloth, this is not a painted or printed material. This is a woven material, so every colour is woven in with a separate fabric. And this is done on a wooden hand loom in the home, sometimes on a backstrap loom. On top of that, there's been a lot of embroidery, hand worked over the top. And you can see on the back, all the work that's gone into it. That's the huipil, and then we can see the cloth, and you can see all the colours underneath. What you see, a lot of Mayan images and a lot of symbology from the Mayan religion. This particular huipil is from a town called Quetzaltenango, also known as Xela in Guatemala. So different styles of huipil come from different towns in Guatemala. So it's very regional. And so you'll have a representation of that region by a particular look of the huipil. They're all very special in their own way. But you can see the back side of it. You can see all the sewing and the embroidery over the top of the loom. So you can see it's been loomed underneath and then embroidered on top. And it's cotton and it's very heavy because the highlands of Guatemala are cold. So this keeps people very warm as well. So you can see that this kind of huipil gets made into something like a pillowcase. And that's all been loomed underneath and embroidered on top. And then this part has all been loomed as well, and that is actually the part of the Mayan garment that's used as a skirt for women. So these haven't been worn before, they've been loomed fresh, but this has been worn by a Mayan woman, and the really beautiful pieces that haven't become too worn get made into beautiful handcrafts. So as you can see, the looming is done in the home, and sometimes on the back, on a backstrap loom, and you'll see women doing this sort of practice on the streets in Guatemala in some little villages, or you can see it in the home as well. So you can see with this piece, this cotton piece, that it's also been loomed, and I think what people don't always see or realise is that this is not printed on. So again, the colours are loomed through by using different cottons. And this type of loom used to make this cotton is very different. It's actually a very big turning loom. So it's 4 big wooden poles, higher than me, that the artisan will turn. And the artisan will grab the right cotton reels onto the turning loom with the right tension, and turn that loom until it makes a nice long piece of cotton, worked piece. So this has been made into a headband by using some elastic at the back, again made in the home, and then what you end up with is this. A lot of the looming in Guatemala takes place in women's cooperatives. So these cooperatives are set up to help and support Indigenous women, often who don't have a partner and any other support. As you may know, there's no government welfare system in Guatemala, to support their children and to provide them with an income. So these are the kind of products you'll end up with after they have picked the cotton, cleaned it, processed it, and then learnt all the techniques to weave it and loom it on the wooden loom, on the hand loom. So different towns in Guatemala or different villages have different looming and weaving techniques. So for example, this bag is from a town called Panal in Guatemala, and you can see that kind of geometric design of the loom, and it's just the way that it's done on the loom, the way the cotton's drawn across or drawn diagonally. And that gets made into lots of little things. So for example, this is also from Panal, and you can see the same type of loom has been used to cover this notebook. So for example, this huipil is from Quetzaltenango, also known as Shela, in Guatemala, and it's got a particular type of design. So it's often got flowers embroidered on top of a geometric design on top of the loom. And then you have, for example, this bag here has got this part of it is huipil. This is part of a huipil, and this is from a town called Todos Santos, which means All Saints, in Guatemala, in the highlands of Guatemala. And then this is a looming technique of that town. So this huipil here is from Tunil, which is a town in the highlands of Guatemala, and it's very cold there, so it's actually very thick cotton. But you'll see that this is how it was worn. This is a neckline here. You've got this one of my personal favorites, from a town called Joyabac, that starts with an X, in Guatemala. And you can see the type of embroidery technique on top of the loom of the cotton here. And again, this part was the neck. So this part here has been worn as the neckline by a woman in Guatemala. This very colourful floral one is from a town called Patsun in the highlands of Guatemala. And you can see the neckline as well here. And this has actually been appliqued on top of the loomed piece underneath. So these are all bags as examples of all the different types of huipiles in Guatemala. And they have come up through the ages, originating in these towns as their own style and their own style of weaving. Guatemala is also famous for its beading, and artisans in Guatemala use glass for their beadwork. So there is no plastic. There is a town on Lake Atitlan called Santiago de Atitlan, and that is very famous for its beading. So all the artisans in this town have become experts in this kind of beadwork. So what you can see from a piece like this is that it's been made with a beading loom. So looming again comes into the beading work of Guatemala, and you can see the different colours beaded through that. So another piece I've got here to show you is actually what I'm wearing. These earrings are made with glass bead and cotton. So it's all been beaded together, and this is done with needle and thread. So the artisans in their home, the ladies, have mastered the technique of looming or weaving this cotton as well as the bead together. And they are absolutely light as a feather to wear. So if you're ever in a market stall and you see key rings, people don't think much of it, but this key ring has been beaded with needle and thread with expertise by the lady or the woman in Santiago de Atitlan, and she's used glass bead all throughout and managed to put feet and head on as well. There's quite a lot of intricate beadwork in this little one key ring. When they're making the key rings in their home, when I've been to visit the homes, what I always see is women sitting around, on a chair on the floor, in a relaxed position with a plate and beads, needle and thread, beading away, chatting and telling each other stories, and usually giggling and laughing, as Guatemalan women like to do. There's one family near a town called Chichicastenango in Guatemala, which is a famous market town, and they do all this beautiful embroidery. So all this is done with needle and thread by hand. There's using a base cotton and cotton thread as well to embroider all of these beautiful headscarves. It's when you see the underside that you get to really appreciate the handcraft side of things, because you get to see how much work has been put into every piece. Thank you for visiting Mundo Maya at our home warehouse as part of SABORES LATINOS. We hope you learned something about Mayan culture, about artisan work, handcraft and cottage industry.